everyone. Happy Monday. I'm really excited to be here with you today. Today we are going to be talking about the field trip I went on to the Lynden Sculpture Garden, the virtual field trip. This is my sketchbook from there I showed you before. We're going to continue talking about our limited color palette, and then we are going to explore some of the nature materials I collected, and I'm going to draw and paint a little bit along with you. And we'll also talk about different types of shapes, like organic shapes versus geometric shapes. And then I'll share glimpses of a book that I think has a lot of great female artists in it, and it should be fun. So these are two of the drawings that I made when I was on the Lynden Sculpture Garden field trip, and they actually just closed, so I'm so glad we did some filming there. This is one of the sculptures, and you'll see them in the videos before this. Here was a very quick sketch I did. It was really cold, of a big sculpture in front of me and then another one off in the background. I could have added some grass and things, but so we've been using kind of the same color palette. And remember, that means a color palette is sort of the assortment of colors you're using. So I had brought with me my little paint kit, and we can do a video on making these. These are watercolors. They're really nice for traveling because they dry and get hard, and then you can bring these little water pens, which are really cool. And all you need to do is squeeze it a little bit, use the paint, and then you can kind of rinse it when you want to make another color. And go into the red, do something like that. So water pens are really fun. And they're not super expensive, but they're not super cheap either. You can find them on Amazon. Yeah, so what I thought we'd do is kind of combine thinking about the limited palette, and we had used kind of these deep saffron reds and oranges, this golden yellow. Let's see if I can put it in rainbow color. Kind of a nice grass green, some pretty teals and blues, and I used a mix of pens and colored pencils. And then I also added these grays in a little bit because there was a lot of steel and metal in what we were drawing. And then we're going to combine the Lynden Sculpture Garden, some nature items I collected there, with some other ones I collected on a walk near the lake. And we'll also look at Matisse and a few other artists. So today I want to make a third drawing. I kind of like doing things in threes, and I think especially if you use, like we talked about, sort of like 4 colors that you pick and do a set of drawings in those. It's kind of neat to see how they change. So these are my 2 landscape studies, and then here's a little sketch I did this morning with my coffee and these postcards you might recognize. It's nice to practice that way. And then we'll do a new one today with the nature we collected. So I'm going to move these postcards to show you what I've been collecting. But these are by Henri Matisse. These are sort of like studies with people, and he used a lot of nature in his. But something I want to focus on also is the difference between organic shapes and geometric shapes. I'm going to move these for now. So organic shapes, and I can draw these out for you. I'll move our little, what's a good color so you can see. Organic shapes are something like a cloud, a shell. Here's one of my shells. So this one is pretty circular, but shapes that don't really have a name, like a square or a triangle, so we'll write organic. A cloud shape. A lot of times they do have curvy lines, not always. What's another organic shape? Like a leaf shape. Matisse used a lot of leaves, right? So these would be examples of, let me move my bracelet. These would be examples of organic shapes. Geometric shapes would be something more like some of the big sculptures we saw at Lynden Sculpture Garden. So this is an example of geometric shapes. And those are usually shapes that you know the names of. Maybe you learn them in school. So can you think of any? I'll give you a minute. Square, right? Triangle. They usually have straight sides. things that you'd see most buildings, not all buildings, but buildings made out of, you know, kind of the basic shapes you learn when you're little. Even circle, because it's kind of measurable. It's not a perfect circle, but you get the idea. Rectangle, a star. So these are geometric shapes. So a lot of the sculptures we saw, here's two examples. This is of a mini sculpture at Lynden Sculpture Garden inside. And then this was an Ellsworth Kelly painting. So this is a heart, but it's also, I guess this could kind of be in between. So there's organic and geometric. So what I think is pretty cool is to collect things on a nature walk. And I went by Lake Michigan. So I'm going to show you what I picked out. I'm going to move these. So we're going to make a painting based off a nature walk collection. So if you want to pause the video until the time, maybe run out into your yard. Maybe you've been walking with your family. I found this the other day, which really reminded me of Ruth the Sow on the pine trees after we read that book. I found this yesterday, which I was really excited about. This is that vanilla bean that you saw me bring back from Lynden Sculpture Garden. Well, okay, it's not a real vanilla bean. Does anyone know what these are called? You can type it in the comments. This is trash, but I thought it's a realistic part of our beach scene. It's a sad part, but it's also kind of interesting to look at. This is basically a geometric shape, right? So, and then the last thing I found was some sea glass. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, and I'm going to be real. I didn't find this at Bradford Beach. This was from, I think this was from when I was in Egypt. I have kind of a collection of shells, but it's okay if you have things in your house too that are nature already. But if you want to go out in your yard, find a rock, an interesting branch, anything. So I thought we would do a little sketch with the same colors that we did the sketches with at Lynden. So I'm going to pick my same color palette. You can pick the palette that you had chosen. Let me pull it up here. So you could kind of do each object. Let me figure out the best way to set these up. I like kind of how this looks against the other ones. I got my little sea glass. Maybe I'll just start sketching. So my sea glass is kind of almost like that geometric trapezoid shape. The shell is pretty fun. And I'm at a different angle. I'm seeing these from a different angle than you are, because you're seeing the video from straight down. But I'm kind of looking at the shell from what I see from here. We've got our styrofoam cup. Got that split in there. So what I think is really important with drawing, there's so many techniques, there's so many ways to make things look realistic and get better at drawing, but I also think it's just important to sit down and do it. I was even nervous to come on and do this with you, but I think it's important to just sit down and actually make your sketch. I want to try drawing this cool pine tree, so. We will go over contour line drawing, but that means you're really just following the shapes you see. And we start to get these cool spikies. So maybe I'm doing kind of a collage of my items. But even if you can draw something every day, even if you just look at your hand and practice that. And then we kind of have the branch coming up here. It really is good for your brain. It helps you notice things. I'm doing just a very quick sketch so we can kind of get to the fun color stuff. But that's really the way we get better, is just by drawing things over and over again and practicing. Some people like to draw the same things. It's called a motif. Vincent van Gogh or Henri Matisse, or lots of people would kind of draw their same things, and that's what a lot of Impressionists did. They would draw the same things. They'd visit them every day over and over again and see how they changed. So you can get kind of creative. This can be a collage. You can overlap things. I didn't really leave room for this. Maybe I'll sketch it in here. And then you can think about what you want to do with your colors. You can even trace them depending on what you get out in your yard. I would love to see you share with me what you find. But it's nice having a mix of geometric and organic shapes, because it makes our drawing more interesting. So now the little leaves I'm doing are, what kind are they? My teacher voice is coming back. These would be organic shapes, right? And then the geometric shapes would be the styrofoam. Pretty much everything we collected here is an organic shape today. But if I was sketching the Lynden sculptures that we saw, most of them were made of geometric shapes. So it's kind of neat to put them together. All right, so this is just kind of a quick little thing. And then let's go back to our color palette. This is what I used at Lynden, so I have the same colors here. And they don't have to be realistic. You don't have to make the leaves and things the exact same colors they are, but maybe I just want to get to work. Maybe I'll try using this pen and then using the paint over it. This is a really nice thick watercolor paper. You can even just draw on, honestly, on a paper bag, on a grocery bag. Sometimes it's fun to draw on unexpected things like napkins or the backs of mail. This is a nice sketchbook for painting. So it does have different colors, but I might do some of these pine needles with some yellow. I'm going to work on this for a while. I'm going to let you work on it, and I will pop back in when I've added a little bit more to it. I can't wait to see what you do.